My sighting encounters. The first encounter took place in Georgia in 1983. Actually, 84. I'm sorry, not 83. I know Georgia. I know what a lot of you are thinking. No, I did not. I do not know, and I did not know Rick Dyer or Matt Winton, and don't want to know them. Anyway, I was living in the state of Georgia. I had had an interest in Sasquatch or Bigfoot since the age of 6. When I first saw the $6 Million Man episode featuring Andre the Giant as the Bionic Bigfoot. And also my father had the book Bigfoot the Mysterious Monster, and that really intrigued me. So I started doing research into it, looking into it, reading everything I could, watching every documentary on Sasquatch on television. Well, we lived in Woodstock, Georgia, which is right on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains. It's in the foothills of the North Georgia Mountains, and I'd had some interesting experiences where I'd heard some strange vocalizations. Some people in the neighborhood had told me that they'd seen Sasquatch or Bigfoot. I had a possible sighting in 1983, which I don't know if it was a sighting or not, because I was told the next day that it was a guy in a suit down in a pasture down at the bottom of a hill. So I don't know if that was a sighting or not. But anyway, January 31st, 1984, I was outside on my elevated back patio of our house. We had a 2-story house where the living room, the kitchen, basically the living quarters were upstairs, the garage was downstairs. And I was out there doing a bit of a whistling call or cry. I was saying, and I'd heard the same thing in October 1983. I didn't know what it was. I suspected it was Sasquatch, but I didn't actually see what did it. But I was out there on the back patio doing that whistling call or cry. And suddenly, something responded back to me doing that, which I was very shocked by. So I was completely flabbergasted. Anyway, this continued for a few minutes, and then I saw this thing standing not standing, but swaying behind a residence, and it came up under a porch light. I could see its face quite clearly. It was more human-like than I expected it to be. And the creature I saw was rust brown colored, and it had the cone-shaped head, the dome-shaped head. Which I thought was quite interesting. I stood there looking at it, and it was looking at me. And I was up on this elevated back patio, and I was pretty much terrified because at the time I didn't know what it would do. And I stood there and looked at it for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then went back in the house, and I figured, well, it was either a Sasquatch or a guy in a really good suit. It was probably about 7.5 to 8 foot tall. It was pretty big. And then after that, I pretty much got into researching and reading everything I could. Again, watching the documentaries on television. This was pre-internet, by the way, so there was no internet. Nothing to look up on the internet, you know. Well, anyway, off and on for about 14 years, I was into the Sasquatch and Bigfoot. But one night, I was coming back from Greenville, Mississippi, coming north, coming to here, to where I live now, and I wasn't really thinking Sasquatch. I was just thinking about how to avoid hitting any kind of an animal that might run across the highway. This was January 13th, 1998. It was early morning hours, 1:15 a.m. And I spotted something, or what appeared to be an individual crossing from left to right, about 150 yards ahead of me on the highway. And I thought to myself, well, what in the world is somebody doing out here at this time of night? Well, what I actually saw when I got up to the point to where it had crossed the road, it stood there. It stood on the side of the road in a ditch with its back to me. It never looked at me. But what I saw originally was a side profile of the right arm. I mean, we're talking a massive bicep. We're talking Schwarzeneggerian, if I can use that term. It was a huge bicep. And like I say, it never looked at me. I don't know what it was. It looked like a Sasquatch to me, but it was a dirty white color. And one thing that really impressed me and kind of negated the fact that it could be a guy in a suit was that it had massive muscles working in its back. I mean, I could see the muscles in its back. I mean, it looked like very well developed. Very well developed in the back. And the chances of that being a person in a suit, it must have been a heck of a suit. Because it had to have been, and it stood about 7.5 to 8 foot tall. It was huge. And those are the only two sightings I've had. I've had several encounters which could have been with Sasquatches, as far as brief glimpses and strange vocalizations. I found tracks a few times. I've heard what I think is wood on wood a couple of times, a few times actually. Was it wood on wood? I don't know. It could have been somebody hammering. But at 1 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, that's kind of doubtful. Most recently, I heard wood on wood about 2 weeks ago. 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, if it was a Sasquatch, there's only one case that I know of where a creature has been doing something which kind of comes close to wood on wood, but it was actually a rock banging against another rock, and that was Skip Frumback's story from Unsolved Mysteries. He actually spotted a Sasquatch at the end of a trail clacking one large rock against another. That's the only case that I know of where somebody has actually seen a Sasquatch do something like that. But anyway, that's basically my sightings and encounters. This was Bill Green's inspiration, by the way. Thank you, Bill. And that's it. See you folks later.